Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of the Dream Team Tonic podcast. With me this week is James. You there, James?
I'm here, mate.
Stuff, Ben, you there?
Hey, mate, all right?
All good, mate. And our once monthly guest, Fergi. You there, mate?
I am, Tony. Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Well, it's brilliant to have you back, mate. Seems to have been ages, to be honest. Seems to be longer than a month, but yeah, good to have you on. Halloween, an earlier episode today. The rain is tonking down here, so I do apologise. I'm sat in the conservatory. I need to get a new house so I can get my own little studio. But until that, you have to put up with rain, especially going into winter. Right, Fergie. Obviously, we've not seen your team since last month. So how's it going?
It's all right. I've risen slowly over the last month. So I think in the last month I've probably gone from about kind of overall rank, I think about to 120k. I think I went to about as low as 140k, but I'm currently up to about 60k. So nothing special. But I've currently got Mendy in goal. So I used my last 3 transfers for November last week, and I made a triple change because took out Sanchez, ahead of Man City and Liverpool. And I was just sick to death of not having Mendy, so I just did Sanchez to Mendy. I released some funds elsewhere in my team. I got Diaz, Rudiger, and Trent, who've been okay. I got Aspilicueta, which has been so frustrating because he's been benched the last 3, I think, now, haven't he, including Europe, so nothing for him. Obviously, when Chelsea have been absolutely mopping up clean sheets, and his direct replacement, Reece James, has scored about, I don't know, probably 45 points in the last week or whatever. Midfield's a bit of a shambles. I've got Bernardo Silva, who's actually fine. Happy to hold him, and Ben Rama. But I've still got he's just like a giant, zit on my team. Is Adama Traore. I think it's that yellow shirt right in the middle of my blue and red team. I can't get rid of him at the moment. And if he was playing, I'd probably leave him, but obviously he's not playing, so that's been frustrating. And I've got Salah, and the 2 transfers I made last week to enable Sanchez to Mendy. So I did Ronaldo to Kane, which is you can say is questionable. Obviously hasn't worked out this week so far with Ronaldo obviously scoring 15 points yesterday. But and I did Lukaku to Havertz, which was a bit of a punt, but actually looking at the ownership in the top 1k and all this sort of stuff, he's actually quite highly owned. I think he was like 30% owned in the top 1k, which I was quite surprised at. But, had a kind of rise out of him already. I think I bought him at 3.3. He's 3.8 now. Potentially expected another rise this week as well. So I could, he'll have done a job, I think, while Lukaku's out. So, so not the best. 17 points this week. And I'm out of transfers. So that's where I am at the moment.
Yep. Good stuff, Ben. Go through yours, mate.
Yeah. Measly score of 7 points so far. Absolute nightmare. But Sanchez in goal, -1. Alexander-Arnold, -1. Crespo's playing later. Reguilon didn't play, which is good. Hopefully he plays in the Europa League and got more chance of getting a clean sheet in that.
Yeah.
Ben Davies can play in the league and he can play in the Europa League. Europa Conference, sorry. Yeah. Rudiger only got 5 for a clean sheet against Newcastle. De Bruyne, Mahrez both blanked, and Silva got a -1. Salah 5 points. Kane's still in there, 0 points, and Lukaku, I've still got him because I had no transfers left. Didn't play.
Not a good one.
612 points now, and I've dropped down to 10k with this team. My best team is on 2k, but this is dropped down from 5k to 10k yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
I meant to add that into the opening. Obviously, it is earlier in the day. The kids are still running wild. So I do apologise, but we're going to just run with it.
Oh dear.
Oh, adds to the fun. We are only halfway through the week though, Ben.
Yeah.
50% of the way through, obviously. European games to come, so
that Man City game was a bit of a, how would you say, a shock when it 2-0 at home to Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Obviously, my
They
midfield.
always seem to have a performance when they go up there, don't they? Or is it just me? Yeah.
It was a couple of years ago. Yeah, Townsend scored that wonder goal.
Oh, that was it. Crack.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, they seem to do well against Man City.
Yeah, strangely.
Yeah. So I'm 25 points off the top 10 of the Dream Team Tonic Mini League now. So I've dropped down a bit. I was getting there, but still games to go.
Yeah, that's it. Coming in next week.
Yeah.
Well then, James, on to yours, mate.
Well, I've got 3 players playing, West Ham players playing later. On 26 points at the moment. 23 of those points came from Reece James. A couple of -1s in defence from Trent and Diaz. Like Fergie was saying, a bit disappointing Azpilicueta's not been playing the last few games. I'm sure he'll come back soon. So he got me nothing. In midfield, I got precisely 0 points so far. I've got Kevin De Bruyne, Jack Grealish, Mahrez. Hopefully Ben Rama will get something in the late kickoff. 5 points for Salah and nothing yet for Antonio. So yeah, not we're looking at some other scores out there. I'm not doing too badly.
No, you're doing all right. You got
Flying,
Reece James. Reece James, you're all right, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes, he's carried that team, hasn't he? Like I say, Ben Rama and Antonio playing. So later on today, hopefully they get you a few.
And Fabianski, yeah.
Fabianski too, yeah. 3 to go. Yeah, that's be a decent week. We should have made up a bit of ground then. Now that team, won't it?
It's not my best teams around the sort of 1.5, 2K mark. This one is one of my worst performing teams, funnily enough.
Yeah.
It's 6th. I think it's 6th out of my 10 teams.
Not too bad.
Mm.
Not too bad. Right on to mine, which is very just as bad as others, really. Mendy in the net, 5 points. Rudiger, 5 points. Azpilicueta, as Fergie said, frustrating. Just not seems to be playing at the minute. So it's kind of like ruining my Chelsea block. Semedo plays on Monday night against Everton. Fernandes, 5 points. Mahrez, 0. De Bruyne. Do we know whether that was an injury for De Bruyne? He went off about 59 minutes, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know?
Someone told me it was an injury. I didn't see the game, so.
I know John Stones come on for him.
John Stones came on for Laporte. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Laporte was the injured red card, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have been a tactical change.
Yeah. So keep an eye on that one. Lukaku obviously still stuck in there because I've no transfers left. Salah, 5 points. And got Antonio and Ben Rama to play later on, so hopefully they can do the business. 20 points so far. 622 in total. Yeah. Hopefully European games drag out some more points.
Yeah.
So again, this week, the podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the world champions in below-the-waist grooming. We've each been sent out the Lawnmower 4.0 to try out. It's life-changing. Ben?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Comes in a really, really sweet box, really well packaged, designed. It's a great little product. Few features on there, 4000K LED spotlight. It's waterproof, so you can shave in the shower. Cutting edge ceramic blade, so stop you nicking your balls while you're doing it. No one wants to be suffering one of those. They are painful. Wireless charging, customized trip with different guard lengths. So get yourself one of these. Get yourself across to manscaped.com. You get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Tonic at manscaped.com. Again, just a word of advice: just stop shaving your nuts with your face trimmer and invest. It'll literally change your life and your partners as well for the better.
And your balls will thank you.
They will thank you, mate. They've been thanking me ever since.
You'll have balls like Phil and Grant Mitchell, won't you?
That's it. Phil and Grant under the arches.
I love the way it's got all like the spotlights and underwater. I mean, amazing product, obviously, but
Yeah.
you have to question someone who goes in a dark place underwater to shave their bollocks, haven't you?
That's true,
Like,
mate.
you have to ask the question: what are they doing?
It should be safety first.
It should
But-
be exactly that.
But yeah, it is a cracking little product. Really does the trick. Not looked back since. So yeah, get across there. 20% off manscaped.com using the code Tonic. Now that's out of the way. Let's jump into the listeners' questions. Got lots to get through. Obviously, being a transfer special with Fergi being on. So obviously, we want to touch on our plans, players we're looking to bring in. So I think we've got quite a few questions that should help us cover most of that for you guys. So let's kick it off with Andrew Barnett. He's got a problem. He's got two teams doing well in his regular league and the Tonic League. To control those around you, you have to transfer blockers in. Should he go with his gut or use the control method in the league, which potentially generates the most cash? Have I read that question right? I seem to confuse myself there.
I think you have. It just, I didn't really understand the way he said that, but I think I know what he means.
Go
I
on
think he
then, Ben.
means
Do you wanna
about
kick us off, mate?
generating value in the team, picking up form players and getting the value
Yeah.
up on the team. I wouldn't be going out blocking straight away, especially now because anybody right back in your mini league, if you're in a big mini league, they come flying back
Yeah.
over the season.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you're trying to block someone down, obviously, if you're at the top and you're trying to block someone down second and third, someone could come back from way back and just fly past you. You won't even realise.
Yeah.
Just concentrate on your own team, pick the right players, and like you say, build your value if you can. Jump on the players in form. Get rid of the players that are going to be going down in price.
Yeah. Fergie?
Yeah, same. I didn't start blocking last year until maybe a fortnight to go at the end of the season because I think once you get into that mentality and zone, it's quite hard to get out. And I also think in terms of your own sanity as well, like I don't know, if you think for example, I don't know, Kane is going to have a really great December, but you go with Ronaldo to block, I think you'll look back and just think, why didn't I just go with a player I thought? I think in terms of your sanity moving forward, I think it's always best to go the way you think and maybe regret than the opposite, which I'm sure we've all done in the past. We've listened to kind of others and let others dictate moves, and I think it's way too early. And as Ben says, it's a really good point. You can block the players around you now, but we're still in October, right? So there's a long way to go.
Yeah, definitely. James?
When he says potentially generating the most cash, I think he's talking about finishing, not player values. He's talking about finishing as high as possible. But I think it's way too early for blocking. I suppose if there was only two of you and both of you were out miles out front, and your rival had a player that you really feared, and obviously if you fear him, he's going to be a good player, then maybe that would be a move. But generally, it's way too early for blocking, particularly in some of these larger leagues where anyone can come out of nowhere, like Ben said.
Yeah. For blocking, obviously, you're looking at way later on in the season when you've kind of like got a top four or a top two.
Yeah.
Where it run away with it a little bit and have a few 100-point like cushions, so there's nobody going to be hitting you from the pack.
It's not a very fun way. Sorry, I was going to say it's not a very fun way to play either, is it? Let's be honest.
It isn't. Towards the end of the season, blocking people obviously to win your mini leagues. It's about the money then.
Yeah.
It's not about having fun, is it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think you can only really block as well if you've got more transfers in hand than the others as well, because you may try and block someone and then he may actually be moving off that player anyway.
Yeah.
So I do think it can be quite a dangerous sort of tactic.
Yeah, you fancy Kane, but you put Ronaldo in to block his Ronaldo, and then he's took Ronaldo out and put Kane in.
And then Kane smashes it. Imagine how you'd feel after that. Oh my goodness me.
Bit devastated. But yeah, don't be thinking about blocking it, Andy. Just carry on doing what you're doing. Obviously, if you're up there at the top, then you're doing well. Stick to your gut. Part two of his question: what game week would you think about spreading your players to teams not in Europe, considering there will be a break till late February? One for you, James. What do you think? Obviously, we've got the African Cup of Nations and stuff coming up.
Yeah, we have.
Big impact.
Well, the Champions League finishes on the 8th of December, and it resumes on the 15th of February. So there is a window in there where you can consider non-European players, I think. So if the specific question is what game week would you start thinking about spreading it around? Well, any time from the 8th of December till the 15th of February, but I would be careful not to bring too many non-European players in if I was you, because you can get yourself in a bit of a mess that way. There's always going to be injuries and things that might block you from. You could end up with a team of 5 non-European players, and then you've only got 5 transfers, and you've got some injuries. So just be a little bit careful when you do that, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we need to touch on that anymore. Obviously,
I'm still trying to get rid of the non-European players in the team.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't bring in any non-European players unless they're absolutely flying. In the past seasons, I remember Payet playing for West Ham. He was unbelievable, and he was scoring points every week. I think he was worth. I think I brought him in a few teams back then during the break from Europe. But I wouldn't go mad. I'd probably keep it to European players if you can.
Yeah, I think exactly the same. So if you use like Foden maybe as an example, last year, lots of people took out Foden. And he went on a really good run of scoring, and because of that, his value increased, and you didn't have to waste transfers, kind of bringing him in and out as well. I know that people fancied Grealish last year when he was at Villa over Christmas, and he did okay, but to go from Foden to Grealish, just for example, back to Foden is 2 transfers, which is it's a lot of transfers when you consider how precious they are, and you may not actually get. You may actually lose points. I'm sure. I'm sure we've all done that. And the reason the teams are in Europe, teams like Man City, Man United, wherever else, are because they're the best teams. They score the most goals. They keep the most clean sheets. So I can only, as I say, speak from my experience mainly from last year. But I don't think last year I brought in any non-European players purely because I didn't want to have to use my transfers in January and February, taking them out again. I wanted to always remain on the front foot and make positive forward-thinking transfers. So that's my
it's really sound advice. Really sound advice. Next one up, Fergie's apprentice. He's put his team there. We'll get the team up on screen if you're watching on YouTube. He's taken Alonso, Lukaku, and Torres out. Foden in, Chilwell in. Obviously, this is planned for his transfers. Who should be his third? A striker or another defender? He doesn't really have much budget. It's 0.1 mil. Ben?
Yeah, I was looking at this, and I'd probably hang on until after the next game week because there's only a single game week. So you've still got your 5 transfers after the international break. Then look at it again, see who's back. Lukaku might be back by then, so I won't take him out then. Keep him. And then you've got Traore, Rafinha, Torres, and Alonso and Sanchez are all players that I'd be looking to get rid of out of that team. Only because Rafinha's obviously the talisman at least, but he's not got the extra games. But yeah, I'd be getting rid of them 5 if you can. Keep Lukaku if he's back from injury after the international break. I personally are going to try and keep as many transfers back after this next game week after the international break. See what the landscape's like, and obviously players' prices will be up and down. And I like the look of Edison's price. I think we've talked about it on a few pods. He's conceded again at the weekend, 3.2 million at the million.
3 million money.
Could be, yeah. Especially
that's crazy, isn't it?
Bruce
That's
score.
absolutely crazy, that is.
Yeah. And he obviously wants Chilwell, and he wanted... Who was the other one he wanted?
Foden.
Foden, yeah, which is a good move, I suppose. Yeah. But you could get in Bernardo Silva for Traore or Rafinha, maybe Fornals. He's playing for West Ham in Europe as well, and he's only 2.5 million. Just if you haven't got the budget, I mean. And another cheap defender, who got sent off yesterday, but will be playing when he comes back from the international break. Is Laporte. He should be going down in price. He's only 3.5 at the minute. He'll play in the Champions League though on is it Tuesday or Wednesday they play?
Mm.
So if he gets a clean sheet and that, he might keep his value, but he'll miss the Man United game. But then after that, you got the international break, and then after that, you can reevaluate. I think.
Mm.
What do you guys think?
Are you worried? Is any of you worried that once Stones gets back in the side, then he'll have a run?
Yeah.
That would because I've got Laporte in a couple of teams, and I'm now thinking if Stones plays well, he could. I don't think he seems to like to keep his centre backs together, not rotate them too much, which is understandable. My only slight niggling doubt there would be that Stones plays well, and then he's in the side for a little while. Then
That's the risk, but
yeah,
he has been playing every game, Laporte. So
he has. Yeah,
It's only one game though he's banned for, isn't it, as well?
yeah, and he
He's
still
won
plays in
violent
Europe.
conduct. So I can't see one game dictating a whole strategy for defensive partnership moving forward. Personally,
he did make the mistake for the first goal as well. For Palace's first goal, Laporte lost the ball.
Got a bad day then.
And Stones was involved with the goal that Jesus had chalked off. He put a long ball onto Foden. Foden crossed it in.
Oh wow!
But that got chalked off for Foden being offside. So
I think you just wait, wait until the international break and then maybe see. I think there's a few more games before that, isn't there? You should get some clues. And then also, as we know as well, with the international break, you never know. Someone might get COVID or get injured or whatever, isn't it? It makes a decision for you as well.
Yeah, with it being a single game week as well next week, it's a lot of risk taking players out, and then suddenly someone gets injured, you can't bring anybody else in. You know what I mean?
And it's away to Man United, so it's not exactly a banker clean sheet, is it either? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, sound advice. So obviously, only being a single game week now. Once the transfers, single game week, then it's like the 20th of November that the football's back. So you're gonna have 5 transfers there after the international break. So you probably got four more games that month for the European sides.
2 game weeks.
You don't want to be using them, do you? Really before that international break, or just to save hold, like you say, Lukaku could be back.
Yeah,
is it worth moving him out? And he comes back first game of international break, bags a couple, and then you scrambling to get him back in your side, and you probably spent the money elsewhere, and then you can't get him back in. You're better off just holding Fergie's apprentice. James, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, no, I think that's sound advice. What you've given, definitely. Nothing else to add.
I think just on the final change for his team, I'd be tempted to maybe move Traore. It's a bit of maybe a forward-thinking transfer than anything, but Lucas Moura, 2.8. I know Spurs at this present moment, as we speak, are garbage. But I'm pretty sure that won't continue. And Spurs fixtures in December are probably as nice as you can ever imagine. They're absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
So just another option, I suppose. Obviously, he may or may not play against Vitesse and Rennes and FC Miura, but if he does, he gets some points in there, and their league games are incredible as well. So
top advice, really. I mean, obviously today we're hearing that Nuno might be going, so a new manager bounce and Spurs fixtures.
Yeah,
it's a recipe, and obviously the cheapness of the players.
Yeah,
it could be the Spurs train coming back.
Yeah.
Coming back from its derailment. Right, moving on. Mike, he's asked, for November's fixtures, name 3 players you think are must-owns, excluding Salah. Well, that's done me, because I did miss that last bit. Salah with first name, so excluding Salah. James, should I go first, mate?
Yeah, sure. I think essential is it's actually quite a tricky question because I'm not sure there are 3 essential players. I've written down Reece James and Stoke Chilwell and Cancelo. and I was really struggling to. I mean, I thought about KDB. I wouldn't say he was essential though, or Foden or Mahrez. No, I'm reluctant to name three because I don't actually believe there are what I would consider three essential players.
What about three that you fancy are going to have a very good November? Three players you think, I want in my side because I think they're on the fixtures.
Well, like I said, I'll go with Reece James, Chilwell, one of those two, Cancelo and Foden. Then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ben?
who's playing number 9? Yeah.
This is a tricky question. The controversial one for you. Harry Kane. I think he'll have a...
He's in mine. He's one of mine as well.
Yeah. I think them fixtures are unbelievable. Like, if they do bounce back, Harry Kane can... He's obviously one of the best strikers in the world. He's just not in form at the moment.
Yeah.
Walking into... You got to predict what's going to happen, don't you? And you think that's a good time to jump on. No, and not a lot of people will have him.
I think as well, just on Kane, it really helps. I think where Spurs are in the Europa group as well, in terms of they need to win.
Yeah.
They need to win one of these. Next games, because I had a look earlier. They're third, and if they don't beat Vitesse on Thursday, they're really up against it. And then they got Mura next, so obviously Kane scored a hat trick in 20 minutes, wherever it was.
Yeah.
And in between all that, they've got Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, and Norwich. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better run of fixtures. I do think Spurs look shaky at the back. I know, I'm not saying for a minute go all in on Spurs, but Kane, we know what Kane's like. And also when Kane scores, he tends to kind of hog all the ratings as well, don't he? Because I think he's my must-have as well. But apologies, I've cut you off there.
It's all right, mate. What do you think of Son if you're short on funds instead of Kane?
Yeah, I think.
Fixtures.
Yeah, I think
5.1 million.
Yeah, I think he could be decent, but generally he only he tends to score around 2/3 of what Kane scores, and if you can't get to Kane as well, and if he does what we expect and it's kick off in December, his price could be 8 or 8.5 million, and then you just got no way to him. So I think I'm very thing on Kane for a couple of reasons. Like one, he's a dream team, absolute darling. Right? He's absolutely brilliant when he's playing and scoring. But yeah, it's his price as well. Is that if you let him get too far away? So I think my advice, if you think Spurs are going to do well, I suppose that's the thing I do. So this is why I'm getting in Kane. But I would use a transfer or two within a team who can't afford him to release funds to get him in, because if you don't get him in, he's going to be bloody hard to get in. That's my personal sort of advice. But if you don't think they're going to do well, maybe get Son as cover.
What about both of them?
But
last season, not the time when Son and Kane were doing the business, both of them.
A double up would be like a hell of a differential as well with Salah, maybe.
Yeah, it's one to possibly think of in a team that's probably not started as well. Might be worth a punt. Well, obviously with Lukaku being injured, Ronaldo not really firing. I know he did all right yesterday, went off the boil a little bit. Yes, maybe the new manager bounce and the fixtures, Son and Kane up top, could be the ingredients you need to fire up the league.
I think with United and Ronaldo as well, their fixture's not the best either.
Yeah.
Over that, I know he scored well yesterday, but they have got one or two decent fixtures till the end of November. But they're away to Atlanta, away to Villarreal. They got Man City, they got Chelsea, they got Arsenal who've tightened up as well. The only decent one in that whole spell is away to Watford. Whereas I say, like you look at Spurs in that time, the 6 or 7 games they play in that period is just the complete opposite.
Yeah, definitely. Did you finish your 3 then, Ben?
I'm going to say De Bruyne for the Man City midfielder. It's a tough one between the three of them, Foden and Mahrez. But Mahrez seems to not play as much in the league at the moment, and Foden's on fire. But I'm going to go De Bruyne because he seems to always pull out star man in the sun. And he plays really well against the top sides. They've got some tricky games coming up. And then I'm going to go for a Chelsea defender. If you can get to Reece James, go to Reece James, but it'd probably be Chilwell. It's a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
I seen a stat yesterday. It was the defence in the league for Chelsea are the top goal scorers. They've got 12 goals.
Yeah.
And the strikers have only got 4 goals. So just go all out Chelsea defenders, and then you've got goals from everywhere.
Yeah. It's crazy. Points going, even without the clean sheets, if you took them away, they're still scoring, aren't they?
Yeah.
Crazy. Fergie, do you want to do your other two then? You said Kane.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with Reece James because we've said on the last few, and this was true of last season, but maybe not so much this, is that James and Aspilicueta tend to come on for each other all the time, but they haven't been, have they? I've been really surprised with... I know Aspilicueta did his shoulder midweek, but in the 2 league games, he hasn't come on, which I've been really surprised at. And I'm not sure whether that kind of indicates that Reece James is just their number one now, and that is it. I think if it does indicate that, and if you think it indicates that, I think Reece James is probably as essential as you can get, because he's just looking absolutely incredible. And Chelsea's fixtures, they do have 1 or 2 hard ones in November, but looking forwards into December, they've got a fantastic run still. And I would still probably go for Cancelo, just because I just think these are the kind of players you just stick in your team and leave. I know he's had a -1 yesterday and didn't do well last week, but you know that you know they're going to do well. And going into December and January as well, City's fixtures are just absolutely incredible. And I think the only thing this year, which is a bit of a disappointment for City, is they're not in the Carabao Cup, and it's the first game they've lost in 5 years apparently, which I find
it's crazy,
incredible. But they miss a Carabao Cup game in December, and obviously they'll miss a game or 2 then in January. But normally, come January, City really, really turn it on, and I would rather have the players in place nice and early, and then use my transfers around the fringes rather than try to get these big players in all the time. And Chilwell, at the moment he's 4.8. You guess, especially if they keep a clean sheet midweek against Malmo, he probably got to 5 or 5.1 again. So he keeps creeping up as well, don't they? So, but yeah, I'd probably say Reece James and Cancelo with a sprinkling of Chilwell on the side.
Chilwell's ownership is 6.1%. I think Tuchel's waiting until it gets to 15%, 20%, and then Alonso's going to be back in team. So, because obviously everyone put Alonso in. A lot of people put Alonso in, and he just had us over a barrel there as Tuchel. Because Alonso were firing as well. He was doing just as well as what
he was.
He's 24% selected. So, my 3, Foden, James, or Chilwell, and Chilwell, and Cancelo. They're the 3 I'd have going forward for similar reasons to the lads, like the players that you put in and they perform. Foden should have a big year this year. It's looking great so far.
Yeah.
Seems to be playing even more attacking than ever. So
he looks to be in that kind of nailed on kind of category at the moment, don't he? In terms of in terms of the best 11, he's one of the first. He looks to be one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment.
Yeah, definitely makes him very attractive. Right, next question. Alan Tatler. Is Kane essential given Spurs' good run of fixtures in November, or can he be covered by a $2 million cheaper option in Heung-min Son, or avoid Spurs altogether if going for him over fixtures? I'm hit on that one, Fergie. I know we probably just discussed that.
We just discussed that, didn't we? Yeah.
I saw that Kieran Pearce underneath put avoid Kane, but I don't know. Like, if the rumours, so I've just had a look, is a few tweets that's saying they're set to sack Nuno today, and I just, if you look at Kane's ownership, even the top 100, even now in the top 100 best teams, he's 36% owned as of now. Like, he's like everyone knows how how important he is. He's 21% owned in the top 1,000. He's one game away from a hat trick all the time. The way he plays and the fixtures he's got, would you really be surprised if he scored a hat trick against Vitesse on Thursday if he played? Because I wouldn't. And he's just there. He's just, I just leave him in personally. First of all, the fixtures are good.
Yeah, it could quickly become essential, I think. Obviously, given the question, is he essential? At this moment in time, no, but these fixtures are going to turn, and he's just a dream team beast, and he smashes this game year on year. So he's in a bad bit of form, but Spurs are as a team. Can't just blame Harry Kane for that. Spurs aren't playing well as a team. It's very similar to United, just lacking something. Don't seem to have an identity. Don't seem to do much on the pitch. I thought yesterday's game were a game between two poorly managed sides. I think the talent in both teams is way above what both teams are putting out there. And obviously United just scored the goals. But it'd be interesting with Nuno gone. If Nuno goes and you're getting a man that's going to rally the troops, I think there's definitely a big few months ahead for Spurs.
Do you think when Nuno was at Wolves, he used to play three at the back and wing backs? Do you think Daniel Levy wouldn't let him play that at Tottenham? You think he wants him to play attacking? Because he hasn't gone to that formation at all, and it probably would do him a bit of good, make a bit more solid.
See, that's a strange question because, like, if you say so, Daniel Levy wanted more attacking football. I think Wolves were a good team to watch under Nuno, even when they're playing
They
three.
didn't score many goals, though, did they?
No, they didn't. But they were solid. They're a good side. That Wolves side were a lot better to watch than what Spurs have been these last few weeks. I'm sure you'll agree, Fergi.
I think that year that they were in Europe, Wolves were awesome. They were they were a really good watch. They had a really good season, and they did well in Europe. And they never seemed to let up, did they? I think they played something like between 50 and 60 games that season, and they were just superb all season. So it's there. I think obviously there's a problem. I think with Kane, in terms of having his head turned, what's going in, in the summer. Maybe he doesn't believe in Nuno and what he's doing. Like even yesterday, I was watching some of the Spurs United game, and Son was kind of wide on the right hand side, and he's never played there since he's been at Spurs. It's almost like he's trying to force it, and I can understand that in terms of if something's not working, but just watching them yesterday, the defense is nowhere near good enough, and as we know, all good teams start off, even good offensive teams start off with a good defense. You've got to have that sound, sound platform at the back, and and they just haven't. And you can see Kane's hacked off, so hopefully new manager bounce. Kane knows he's staying now. He's got no option till January's absolute minimum, but I guess he go maybe next year now. Just hope Spurs really pick it up, but they've got the fixtures to do it. And if they can get off the leash a little bit, I can see them going on a really good run, and then everything's rosy because they're only, they were back in the top 4 or 5 a week or two ago. Yeah, and obviously because they lost yesterday, they're back out again. But it only takes if they can string together a couple of wins, they'll be back around there again. So they're not massively far away. They're just playing dreadful football and just massively inconsistent.
Yeah. James? What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I mean, Kane, you could consider Kane. If certainly if Nuno goes, I think Kane could be essential. Yeah. Nothing else to add, really.
If Nuno stayed and he were managing next couple of weeks, would you be putting Kane in?
I don't know. I mean, they're looking pretty bad at the moment. I'm not as convinced as maybe some of you guys. They just look terrible. But if Nuno stays out, I'd probably wait and see. But I would definitely like to keep a route open to get him in, because, like Fergie says, if you he's not going to be easy to get in if you leave it too long. But I think you can afford to wait and see if Nuno stays. Even if you miss out on that hat trick, he's just not looking brilliant at the moment. But I think a new manager would make all the difference, probably, with
Yeah.
the new manager bounce, etc.
Yeah, definitely. Alan Tatler, another one from him. Instead of having 5 transfers a month that we're eager to use straight away, how about having only 1 transfer a week? Should there be a wild card / overall option in Dream Team? James.
I like having 5 transfers a month.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the move from it used to be 3, didn't it? And they've changed it around a few times, but 5 seems just about right. It adds a different strategic element to compared to other games. Yeah, I like it, and he's also asking about wild cards. I see. I'm not sure I'd want to see a wild card. I think it would. You probably mean that you'd see more template teams because
100%.
Yeah.
it would everyone would just wild card to the same team in Dream Team because the potential player of pools is a little bit smaller if you're concentrating on European sides. So yeah, no, I think that would be a bad idea.
Ben?
Yeah, I totally agree with James. I
Yeah.
think you covered it all there. I want to keep it the same as this, 5 transfers a month. It's 50 transfers a season. It's pretty. I think that's pretty good. You just got to be a bit more. I would say keep your transfers in your pocket a bit more if you don't want to waste them all.
Yeah. Fergie?
I couldn't agree more. I think, I said this before, I play all the formats, and the reason I play all the formats is because I really enjoy the different strands and gameplay and strategy of all the formats. And, I think Dream Team offers, it's massively different from any other fantasy game, obviously in terms of European stuff, but, I think the rises, they do the 5 transfers per month thing, I just think it's very unique, and I really enjoy playing it like it is, so I just leave it.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more. Definitely. Like I say, play all the other games for different reasons, don't you? Different strategies and stuff like that. That'd only make it more like FPL in a way, but with less poor players. Keith Ledger. He's had a couple of Chelsea block defence since the start. Do you think he should stick with them or switch to less rotated players? Obviously, someone who's getting a bit frustrated. He's probably got Alonso and Azpilicueta in there.
Yeah, that's right. If you've got anyone else, you're laughing, aren't you?
Oh, it's had me in quite a few teams. You're looking at your Chelsea block, another clean sheet, brilliant. You're only getting half at points, mate. So frustrated. Fergie, what do you reckon?
No, I'd maybe look to get in potentially. You haven't got Reece James, maybe go for Reece James, maybe take Alonso out for Reece James. But the beauty with the Chelsea defense is they all get games, they all get points. If they're subbed on, they get points as well. Chelsea look really good defensively. I just think you're forcing it a bit there, really. Personally, I think I just use your transfers as well on your team. The other thing I'd say, and this is what I try and do a bit unsuccessfully this year, but I've got one Man City defender, one Liverpool defender, because I like to be able to pivot quite quickly onto maybe a semi-block from a different team and stuff. But this year so far, it just hasn't worked, and those who've gone for Chelsea blocks, it's absolutely smashing it. So I wouldn't bother. They still look incredible. Their fixtures are good for a long time. Just think it's forcing it.
Yeah, definitely. Ben?
Yeah, it'd be better if I knew what players he had, but I just looked at the top scorers in the Dream Team defenders, and there's 8 Chelsea defenders in the top 10.
Even Shalabar's up there somewhere, I think, isn't
he?
Yeah, he's just in the top 10.
Yeah.
Well, top 12 I think he's in, but yeah, I just think stick with them. They're just clean sheet machines, aren't they? And obviously they scored a lot of goals this year, so yeah, stick with them. Obviously, if someone who's in there who's not playing, like Azpilicueta, and you can get to Cancelo, maybe do that.
Yeah.
But you could easily go to Chilwell if you haven't got Chilwell, so it's or Trent. Go to Trent. But yeah, it's like making transfers for no reason, really. You've probably got other things to do in your team.
Yeah. James?
Yeah, I'd definitely stick with the Chelsea block. If you look at their fixtures through till even the end of sort of the end of January, there's nothing there that screams sell.
Mm.
Uh, there are arguably 2 or 3 fixtures in a period that they've got Juventus, Man United, and City coming. Juventus and Man United coming up in November. City in mid-Jan, but I wouldn't be surprised if they kept a couple of clean sheets against those guys either.
Yeah.
So don't. I would definitely be. I wish I had Chelsea blocks in all my sides. Put it that way. I would definitely be sticking with the Chelsea block.
I can see Azpilicueta actually playing on in the midweek in the Champions League as well, so I wouldn't be too worried.
He's not, as per Quet, is not usually someone that he leaves out often.
No.
It's very strange. And like I say, last year, Reece James and Aspie, they rotated all the time, nearly every game, and they both subbed on for each other nearly every game. And this is I suppose, my concern. He is carrying a maybe slight injury, which is why maybe Reece James. But I know that he's bigged up James and Chilwell so much this last week, haven't he? You know, he's even said, "Oh, we need Vernon Lukaku to maybe play on the wing so they can score as many goals as the fullback." So, you know, if Reece James, it looks like possibly he's like number one choice now, right? Like absolute number one. If he is, I think he's, you know, it's obviously not essential, right? But the way he plays, he and Chilwell, if they play the vast majority of the games, they are just banging the points in, and will continue to, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Chalobah coming into the fold and doing so well has probably mixed it up a bit too much for us dream team managers, like, because he's not had a bad game, has he? He's scored a couple of goals, keeping clean sheets, so he doesn't help things.
Even Sarr as well has played. Well, I think he played like the one game, but they've got so many options.
Yeah,
it's a really tough one.
They were short of options, weren't they? Over a week where Chalobah and Sarr both played, and they both played really well.
They did
really
well.
Did. Got massive options in that defence. I think you're just going to have to put up with the rotation a bit. It can all change quickly. An injury, a red card, anything, and then all of a sudden, the Chilwell that you put in for Alonso, all of a sudden Alonso's going to run a 5 or 6 games, or vice versa. Reece James, Azpilicueta, Christensen, obviously, Thiago Silva's back at full. I mean, did he not used to play Azpi like the right side of the centre half as well, didn't they?
Last year they played him. And you always knew where he was playing because of his rating. When he played at right centre back, he was always good on rating. And then I brought him in, and then he switched to right back, and I took him out, and then they moved him right back to right centre back. But he tends to do really well on the ratings at right centre back, and not so much at right back.
Yeah, just one to monitor. Like Ben said, you don't want to be making transfers for transfer's sake. Everyone wants a Chelsea block.
Sorry, he's fourth highest scoring defender on the game at the minute as well. Azpilicueta.
You just got to leave him, haven't you?
Yeah,
he'll have his run of games.
Definitely. I don't think he'll score as many goals as Reece James,
but
he's an absolute machine. Right, Lee Hooper. Assuming Rom isn't back until after the international break, is it worth taking him out for the one game and then bringing him back in again? Cost 2 transfers, or is it worth leaving him in so I don't end up using all his transfers early again and getting stuck with an injured player next month? That's exactly what I did. I ended up stuck with Rom all month because I wanted to jump on a Chelsea block. But yeah, go on, James. What do you reckon, mate?
I would. I'd probably keep hold of him if he's.
Yeah.
I think he'd be back after the. Possibly even next week. So certainly after the international break. The fact that you've got to use another one to bring him back in, I think that tells you everything you need to know. It's a waste of time. I think he is still a good. He's still got masses of potential. He could come back in and hit the ground running. I think I wouldn't be making that move. I would hold him.
He'd be a differential as well, you'd guess, wouldn't he? Because just the ownerships in the top 1,000 stuff, he's I think a lot have moved him on, haven't they?
Yeah. Yep, definitely. I concur.
20% owned in the top 1,000.
It's not a lot. Right, you, Ben? I think I know both your answers, to be fair. I'm Fergi. it's a waste of a transfer, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm just going to say, yeah, like I said earlier, try and keep him if you know he's going to be back after the international break or even might be back next week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, keep for me.
Yeah, very
I think with fantasy, I'm thinking about this a lot in the last week or two, on all the formats. But I think the key to doing well in fantasy football is not these little intricate individual moves you make. Is how you play the game as a whole.
Yeah.
And like I say, even if you miss out on a few Lukaku points this week, if you miss out on 8 points, even 18 points, if 18 points is going to define your season at the end, then, if you think of what you could have if you save the transfers back and manage to move on, move on to good defenders or save your transfers back, move well, into the next month. I think it's far better to have more information and more transfers in hand because it's just, that for me is definitely, been in my thinking the last few weeks. It's not these moves. The same in Sky, same in Telegraph, it's the same in FPL. It's how you play the game as a whole rather than these individual intricate moves.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the ones that are going to win you or lose it. It's how you play the game over the season, I think.
Yeah, definitely. How you plan. Good shout, mate. Right, Thinker. Must be northernness. Praying for a Man City clean sheet wipeout. Well, he got his wish. So Edison is still in range once the new transfers hit. With the European games off the cards in December and January, are you going to pivot to teams with decent domestic fixtures? James.
Well, I think we covered this a little bit earlier. I might go with one outstanding candidate, possibly two non-European players. It's highly unlikely I'll go with more than that. As I said earlier, it's easier to get yourself into a mess. You're booking in transfers basically because you're going to have to get them back out again at some point.
Yeah.
And as Fergi said, the teams in Europe tend to be the best teams anyway. I did look at the fixtures over that period. West Ham and Man U have got great fixtures. They're in Europe anyway. So you might want to start considering those certainly around December time. So the Champions League finished on the 8th of December. So I'd be looking at West Ham and Man U more than I would some of the other teams with good fixtures. The other teams with good fixtures are Watford, Everton and Palace. Well, do you really want those in your team? You're going to have to get rid of them again. I can't think. Would you go for a Calvert-Lewin if he was back or a Sarr? I know people have already been burnt by Sarr in Dream Team, so I'm not sure. Just to complete the whole fixture thing there, Wolves, Leeds and Newcastle have absolutely horrific fixtures. So you want to be avoiding them, and Brentford's aren't great either. So there's not really anything that stands out there. I would probably not do it, but you never know. There's somebody might come into form. But yeah, I'd be looking at West Ham and Man U over teams without European games, I think.
Could be some bargains at United, couldn't there? With the defence now, I think Shaw is 2.8 million.
Yeah.
Obviously, he got a clean sheet this week, but Wan-Bissaka's 2.7. If they stay around that, there could be a good way of freeing up some money in December.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
I think the only team that I'm having a look in terms of really nice fixtures for a run, Arsenal between Friday the 10th and Tuesday the 28th. Go Southampton at home, West Ham at home, Leeds away, Sunderland at home in the Carabao Cup, away to Norwich and home to Wolves. So, we like players like maybe Smith Rowe, sometimes even Aubameyang maybe. But again, I just personally think, if you're looking for a differential, maybe I'd go that way. But if you're just looking for season-long play, probably stick with what you've got. There's enough there with Salah, Kane, all the Man City players and all this, the Chelsea defenders to build, and continue to build a really, really strong team. Because I was worried a month ago that, my team was way too kind of a template, looking the same as everyone else's, but still managed to rise, not like massively. My best team has managed to rise from 40k to 1.5k in the last 3 weeks. which says really, there's no. If you look at the ownership of a lot of the teams this year, obviously Salah is massively owned, right? But other than that, I think Mendy is quite owned right up the top into the the top 1,000, top 100. Other than that, there's barely any players who've got massive overall ownership at all, which is really nice to see. Just looking overall ownership after Salah and Bruno, actually, the third highest overall player is Grealish at 36% owned, which is like a big difference from last year, I think. And even in the top 1,000, there's only 3 players over 50% owned, which are Salah, Mendy, and Bruno. And I don't think any of us have got Bruno in many of our teams, so he's not like he's essential.
Yeah.
And then you go down to like 40% and stuff. So I think if you just play sensibly and get the right players in and not go for punts and differentials as such, unless you want to, obviously. But I think that there's still a lot of room to do really well by just getting in good picks, basically. And
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, you worry about going too template, don't you? Like you won't make up any ground, but the ground's there to be made up because there's not much of a template. Other than Chelsea backline. Ben?
I think you covered it all there, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good shout with the Arsenal fixtures, Fergi. A good batch of fixtures there. They look to have turned the corner recently.
Schwindel's still quite cheap as well. I haven't looked, but they were in like the early 3s last time, I think, maybe. So
I've not seen it. Yeah, some value to be had maybe for a good run. You wanted to, like you say, try a differential out. Right, Aaron Wade has been on. Too soon to be planning for loss of players going to the African Cup of Nations, which I believe most players leave after the Boxing Day game. Or is it a case of crossing that bridge nearer the time? Great pod as always. James, I think you've got a bit to say about this.
So I did some research into this. The African Cup of Nations starts on the 9th of January and finishes on the 6th of February. Obviously, players may not be away all of that time. It depends on how well their teams do. He's right in saying it looks like most of the players will be flying out after the Boxing Day game. So, I mean, I looked at Liverpool's fixtures, for instance, and you've got Salah, Mane, and Keita. They could miss Leicester, Chelsea, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Burnley. That's 5 games. It's a lot, isn't it? So I do think you need to be mindful of it. It's probably a little bit too soon to be thinking about it. If you actually look at the overall number of players that really are dream team options, you've got probably 2 at Liverpool if you discount Keita, so that's Salah and Mane. At City, you've got Mahrez. Chelsea, you've got Mendy. Ziyech at a push, but not many people have got him.
Yeah.
And at West Ham, you've got Ben Rama. And there are others, of course, like Leicester have got Iheanacho, but he's in and out of the side at the moment, not really hitting the ground running. So there's not that many players, but you could easily see there might be some teams out there with 3 or 4 of those in there. So, especially when you consider Chelsea, you've got the Chelsea goalkeeper Mendy as well. So yeah, I do think it's worth starting to keep it in the back of your mind, because you could if you end up with 4 come in December and you've got no transfers left, it could be 4 or 5 games where they don't play.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I think you've nailed that there. I think you don't want to be caught short having Salah, Mane double up with Mahrez behind and Mendy in your goal.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning Arsenal as well, because Fergie said they had good fixtures. Don't forget that Aubameyang and Pepe as well are going away for the African Cup as well. So if you're going to punt on those, that's another transfer you're going to have to make probably.
Yeah. Good shout.
Excellent.
I think you've covered that, mate. I don't think we need to touch any more on that. But yeah, just keep it in the back of your mind. Obviously, planning towards them dates. Another one. a great mystery with Dream Team. Can someone explain the price changes from Stephen Holt? Ronaldo plays once, scores -1 point and goes down 0.3. Kane plays twice, scores 0 points, goes down 0.2. Foden plays twice, scores 20 points and only goes up 0.1. Havertz plays twice, scores 11 points and goes up 0.3. It doesn't make much sense, does it? There's obviously some algorithm they've got. They're not keen to share it. They never really give you the information, but we don't know whether it works off the first game they played that week or whether it's off their last game. Because we've had a few things where, was it Antonio who got a red card and then got a red card at the weekend, played in the midweek game, and he actually went up in price because he scored in the midweek game, which was a strange one. But if Fergi, we've not had you on for like the last month, have you come to light of any reasons they do what they do?
No, I think as you said, they've always got some algorithm with some weighting on it, which we don't know what it is. I think we know each week roughly, whether players going up or down. I would say it's generally the trend is right. So what I tend to do is I don't try and predict how much. I just know roughly. If you just look now at Reece James this week, you would guess he'd be going up 0.3 on Thursday, regardless of how they do in Europe. But if he goes up 0.1 or 0.2, then it's just what it is. So I would just go with, you think a player's going up or down when making a decision, because obviously if you've got the exact money, for example, to make the transfer or not, and you also know whether to make a transfer before the deadline or after. But I wouldn't try and predict. It's just they've obviously got some weird algorithm with their own weightings.
It might not even be an algorithm. They might just sit down and go.
They might have a
little round table and go, "Oh, he's well owned. We won't put him down too much," or it could be like that.
We don't know if ownership is part. Is even part of the algorithm. You'd hope it wouldn't be, but you never know, do you?
Yeah.
Right, David Dunkley. He's put his team up, so I'll get that up on screen for you, for the YouTube viewers. He's got 0.2 million in the bank. With Lukaku out until after the international break, so he's pretty sure. He seems certain he's out. Might not be, but I need to make the move next week along with Torres. A bit stuck on options. He's thinking Leicester have okay fixtures. Vardy, Maddison or Tielemans, or could go 4-4-2 with KDB or Foden and a cheaper mid. Ben, we'll jump over to you, mate. He's saying basically Leicester have good fixtures. What do you think of that, mate?
Well, before the Arsenal game, I would have said, yeah, they're doing all right.
Yeah.
But yesterday, they played all right. They just couldn't get the ball in the net. Ramsdale had a blinder. I seen the XG for the game, and it was 1.96 for Leicester. So they should have scored nearly 2 goals. So they didn't do too bad, really. They played all right, but they just couldn't get the ball in the net. Did you see the game?
I didn't, mate, no.
Ramsdale was unbelievable. He saved the Maddison free kick, tipped it onto the crossbar, come down. Johnny Evans come and followed it in. He hit the post, come off his back, and then span along the line, and then someone cleared it.
Michael said it was one of the best saves he'd ever seen.
Which one, Casper or?
Casper's Michael said.
Yeah.
I remember Ramsdale's save was one of the best he'd ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Leicester's got Leeds on Sunday, and then obviously Chelsea, Legia, Watford, Southampton, Aston Villa, Napoli. It's all right, but I wouldn't bring in any Leicester players. I'd go more the Foden or KDB way. He's already got Silva in there, hasn't he? So
it's hard to predict even who's gonna start, isn't it? Like with all their options. And I saw the Tielemans has scored a lot of points. Well, obviously wonderful player, but he has got his habit of smashing in like 20-yard boomers into top corner, which are probably unsustainable and kind of long term and stuff. He's an incredible player, but really sure there's anyone. I saw Bertrand move to -8 points for the season, which is quite impressive.
Yeah,
What a fall from grace.
I can't believe I started the season with him. That was one of the worst things I could have ever done. It was disaster.
Is he on the team reveal video that we did then? Bertrand at left back, -8. Brilliant.
Oh,
I mean, look at his team there. If he's going to want to go KDB or Foden, he's going to with the money. Obviously, he's going to have to take Lukaku or Ronaldo out. Obviously, you don't touch Salah. So it really depends. I mean, if Lukaku's back next week, you just leave him in, and he's going to have to find a cheapie. What price Torres is at yet? I'm not too sure. Don't know what price Torres is at. Looking at it quickly. Where are you, Torres? They're 3.7 million, so you'd have 3.9 to play with.
don't get a lot for that in the midfield. There aren't a raft of good cheap options. He's already got two of the good ones.
Yeah,
I think he's going to need to move some of the funds from up front into his midfield.
yeah,
Maybe go 4-4-2. If I had to get rid of one of those players up front, I would get rid of Ronaldo. Just obviously keep an eye on the injury news, but longer term, I think Lukaku's better option than Ronaldo. Certainly until December. It might flip then, but you could flip between those two, depending on fixtures. But there's not enough money in that midfield to move stuff around, is there? It's not got the balance really.
you always go back to Fergie's tip from earlier. Mora, 2.8. Could bring him in for Spurs.
I say a tip. It was more of a if you're
Well,
desperate for a player around that price.
Sorry, don't want to stick your name to that, Fergie.
I think
if people attacking us.
I think the move was to do Lukaku to Havertz last week, the week before, whenever it has to be really quick. Obviously, probably kind of missed the boat on that now because Havertz only have a couple of games left. But I think that was the move. But if Kane drops this week and Ronaldo rises, which could happen if Kane doesn't play Thursday, you could even do Ronaldo to Kane, which will get you a bit of cash. That'll get you like 0.5 maybe or something, and then that move's done and in the bank potentially, and maybe then use that to upgrade. I don't know.
You might be able to get to Grealish then.
Yeah, you don't want to be muddling around making short-term things. But obviously that move from Ronaldo to Kane is a very, very, very nice long-term move, as well as getting you a bit of cash to kind of
opens it up
elsewhere as well. Sanchez looks to be a problem as well. He's 2.2. He'll likely go down again this week. I think I just look because I thought he was higher. I was even going to say go Sanchez to Edison, but there's going to be a million difference there still.
Yeah, I think he's starting to become a bit stuck, Sanchez, if he keeps dropping in price.
Their fixtures are okay after this week, but again they only play once a week. But they're home to Newcastle, and they got Villa, Leeds, West Ham, Southampton, so they do improve. But you don't really want to be stuck on him for the season, do you? No.
Especially not when Ederson's so cheap.
This is it.
You want to be trying to get hold of him somehow.
Definitely. That's a massive upgrade. In terms of $1 million, in terms of just 1 million, going Sanchez to Ederson is probably a priority, I think, for anyone who still holds Sanchez, Ben.
You there, Ben?
Yeah. Nightmare. Son just come in the room there. Just had to get rid of him. He's like, "Can I talk to him? Can I talk to them?"
I always think as well, the thing with having like a cheap defender or poor defender or whatever is they're just massively prone to minus points. Whereas even having, this is why I haven't been massive, I haven't put Adama as a massive priority out, because if he sits there and scores nothing, it's not the end of the world, right? Whereas having Man United players, for example, in this last month, he's basically scoring minuses every game, So I think a transfer for a keeper or a defender is probably more of a priority for me than a midfielder because of those minus points.
Yeah, definitely. FPL Lion, C-Tubs, Connor Tobin. 4 out of 10 of his teams are doing well, but my family friends mini league team is only on 512 points. The leader's on 603, so he's playing a bit of catch up. He has so many fires again to put out this month. What are the best teams players to target for November, December? Great podcast. That's the second one we had today. Cheers. Appreciate it. James?
Well, I think we've covered it to a degree, but obviously United in December. If you haven't got Chelsea backline, get them in. I still think Man City are a good option, particularly in the midfield. That they're probably going to provide the biggest points totals for midfielders come the end of the season. They usually do. I don't know have I missed anything?
City's fixtures are lovely in December, aren't they? Watford, Wolves, Leeds, Newcastle, Leicester, Brentford. It's not a bad December.
You may just want to go for a risk, go for a Kane and Son double up front. You'll either fly up or fly down, but if you're willing to take that risk, you could be laughing.
Yeah, it paid off for quite a lot of people last year.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm definitely doing it in a couple of my teams. I think one or two of my teams, underperforming ones maybe, to try and boost them up.
Ben's just had to fly. Had some family issues, so we're down to us three: me, James, and Fergie. Anyway, only a few questions left. One for you here, James. Samuel Howarth. When a normal dog sees a police dog, does it think, "Oh shit, it's a cop"?
Yeah, we're getting some good ones recently, aren't we?
Froggy's not been on, has he?
No, Samuel. I think it just sees another bum to sniff. That's what they're interested in, isn't it, dogs? It's like, he's not going, "Is that a police dog?" He's going, "Ooh, there's a bum."
Right, there you have it. Right, onwards. Gary Jones has been on. Looking at both Areola's season points with Edison's price, would you prefer to jump on Edison at 3.2, set him for the get, or is it going for an ultra cheap keeper worth it to get to the other premium options? Fergie.
That's got to be Edison for me. Areola. I think in early December, obviously West Ham won't have any European fixtures for a couple of months. Then Edison is likely. I expect they'll give Stefan maybe an odd game here and there, but generally speaking, he plays 95% of the games. Best defence statistically in the league, bound to keep loads of clean sheets. An incredible price. I'm even tempted. If Mendy goes up this week and Edison goes down, you could have Mendy at like 4.8, for example, and Edison at like 2.9 or 3. That's a massive saving. If you're desperate for funds, it's like a 2 million saving. I can see, obviously in terms of the points, you can see why. But obviously, we need to look forward and not back. And you just think, if you're desperate for money, that's, I think if you think from now to the end of the season, that is genuinely a like for like sort of pig, isn't it? So Edison for me all day.
Yeah, and me, James.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at Areola's points, he got 39 points. They came from 4 games, 2 in the League Cup and 2 in Europa League. The top cup competitions are going to get stiffer going forwards, and you don't play in the league. So, and there's no, like Fergie said, there's no Europa fixtures over Christmas. So you're going to be struggling if you keep him in or bring him in. So I wouldn't be recommending Areola. I would go Edison. If you really had to can't do it, then I think Sanchez or Guaita are better options than Areola. And they're around the same. They're about 2 million each. But if you can get Edison's the way to go, definitely.
Yeah, you'll never see him this cheap again. I wouldn't think.
No.
And their fixture run is just absolutely incredible. After United on the weekend, it's just a sea of green to like the end of December going into January, and even then they're still pretty decent. The only hard teams that they play in the next like 20 matches, they got like Leicester at home on Boxing Day and Chelsea at home on the 15th of Jan. Champions League games, obviously, but other than that, you'd expect them to keep a lot of clean sheets in that time.
Yeah, definitely. He's literally set and forget. You wouldn't have to worry about your keeper again all season.
No, you wouldn't.
Get Ederson in, mate. Connor, thoughts on the 4-4-2 as a genuine option, James?
Well, I think it is a genuine option at the moment with Lukaku out. There aren't that many forwards doing the business in the cheap to mid range. Things might, think that might change going forwards, but right now I think 4-4-2 is a good option. I did a little analysis of the top 20 players. One is a goalkeeper, 8 are defenders, 4 are midfielders, and 6 are strikers. Of those 6 strikers, 4 of them play in Europe. Just Harry Kane, Ronaldo, Antonio, and Mane. And they're the top point scorers at the moment. The other 2 players in the top 6, in those 6 strikers there, are Aubameyang and Tony, and you probably wouldn't want to bring them in necessarily. So I think
Not Salah.
Hmm?
You didn't mention Salah then.
That's because he's a given. I should have mentioned him.
Yeah, just ignore it now. He's in everybody's team,
and
everyone should know.
So the point I'm trying to make is, yes, there's not many striking options. Well, there are, but they're expensive. So, and if you go with Salah, Lukaku, and Ronaldo up front, you're not going to have many funds to fill the rest of the team. So, I certainly think 4-4-2 is an option, particularly with Lukaku being out at the moment.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I think with the 2 in December, I think my 2 of choice would be Salah and Kane. Obviously they are, very expensive, and Ronaldo goes on a really good run about halfway through the month. For long periods. I think Lukaku's now only 5.8, and I know he hasn't been on form, but I think I know De Bruyne is like 0.1 less or whatever, but I do think it's viable. But I do think Lukaku at 5.8 looks a very enticing prospect. Again, he's the kind of player, Chelsea, the kind of team that can just turn it on, at any point. And you don't want to not be on Lukaku when he does go on a run of scoring. I think it's viable in terms of, I think definitely Salah and Kane, but I do think Lukaku at his price. If Lukaku was maybe 7 million plus, I think there's an argument to save funds, but I'm not really sure how much you're actually saving when you look at Lukaku's price against some of the others. So I'd probably just jump back personally on Lukaku and try and get ahead of others who wait. And same for Kane, really. I think you're going to see a lot of hesitancy on those 2, but in those times, because they play twice in a week all the time, you could be 16, 24 points down in that time. So, I don't have answered the question there specifically, but
I think for me, it's 4-3-3. The midfield options aren't really there. What you're saying about obviously having all the 3 big hitters of you, like Kane, Salah, Ronaldo, with the 3 big price tags there, you're going to struggle probably to get your Chelsea back line in and stuff. Yeah. So then it does make it more of an option there to drop one of them out, maybe Ronaldo. But for me, 4-3-3, just given there's a bit of a lack of option in midfield. I only see City midfielders now, like Foden, De Bruyne, Grealish, who's just ticking along. But yeah, if you want that Chelsea block, especially 4 of them and Mendy, because they're just going up in price every single week now, so you are going to struggle. So 4-4-2 is an option for that, dropping one of your big hitters out. And I mean, Reece James scores more than half of these strikers anyway, so
he does.
He's on 90 points now. He's the 2nd highest scoring player in Dream Team.
Unreal.
I think he's 20 ahead of Kane now.
I think it's probably worth just mention as well at this point. Obviously, I think it was February and March, there there was a lot of kind of talk on on Twitter and on this pod, and kind of everywhere how it's a boring game. Everyone's just full of Man City and la. But we didn't jump onto Man City till January, so I think it probably just is worth pointing out that there's still lots of gains to be made.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that was the chat. But if you remember at this period, bear in mind, still in October, right?
Yeah.
City were awful in November and December. It wasn't till January that they went on that run, and then all of a sudden the game became boring. And it's obvious. It's not obvious. It's not obvious until you've got to have the. I don't know. I suppose you've got to have the foresight to be able to jump on players before they score their points.
That's it.
Rather
that's
than
where the risk comes
say it's
in.
obvious, and it is risk. It is risk, but I think there's a lot of options that have got very, very low ownership. If you jump on them quickly in advance, you really steal a march, both in terms of points, but also in terms of value. Which is I wasn't that keen before on the aggressive nature of the points increases and decreases in this game, but I've actually learned to really enjoy it because it keeps you on your toes. And if you, like I say, if you take a risk, you can be really handsomely rewarded, can't you?
Definitely, it's a good point. Definitely, James, you stuck a question there, bottom. I think we might have gone over it a little bit. Thoughts on Laporte? Will Stones play his way back into the side?
Yeah, I think we covered that. It was interesting to have a sort of chat about it. I mean, like Fergie said, if it's only one game, will that change the strategy? Probably not. But keep an eye on it, I suppose.
Yeah, one of them. Did Stones do much wrong to lose his place? Don't remember him making too many errors. I think he had a good year last year.
It's funny how Pep seems to have his favourites each season, doesn't he? I mean, look at Sterling. He was the go-to man. Now he's on the bench for a year. I would not be surprised if assuming he stays and then gets sold or throws toys out the pram, he'd be the main man next year. It just seems to go like that, doesn't it, with Pep?
Yeah, it is strange. Strange. You could never second guess him, really.
Look at Bernardo Silva as well, another case in point,
Yeah.
He's looked amazing this year.
Yeah, very good example. Right, so the Dream Team Tonic Cash Mini League. Obviously, this week is game week 10, so it's 50 quid to the top point scorer this week. So that'll be sorted Thursday, Friday when the game week ends. So let's have a run through the top 10, James.
Yeah, sure. So in 10th place, we've got Andrew Barnett. In 9th, we've got Paul Kinman. 8th, Heath Robson. 7th, Niles Koopman. 6th, Connor Story. 5th, Alex Cole. 4th, John Perrow. 3rd, Henry Cartridge. 2nd, Dan Sherwood. And at the top, Jonathan Perrow.
Still there.
Still there.
In second there, Dan Sherwood, who's had a very good week.
Yeah, 65 points this week.
Yeah, that's a bloody good score. I think he is actually currently at top of the week standings, so he's in line to win the 50, but there's a long way to go. As we know, a lot can change over the European weekend. The differential league that we ran through last week, I'll get that updated on Twitter, posted out. We'll get our selections made this week before the next round of games next weekend. And we'll get them posted out on Twitter, and we'll have a run through it next week on the pod, so we're aware. But I think the community are still out in front. They get the first pick every week. James, are you going to be last pick again, aren't you?
I've got a feeling I'm going to be last pick again, but you guys are catching up now, though. Given that I have been last, I think I picked Robertson, didn't I? He's not done particularly well. So still last, I think, but only just.
Yeah, we'll get them sorted. We are on 974 subscribers. We're 26 subscribers off the 1,000. If anyone's listening to this on YouTube and you've not clicked subscribe yet, because there's quite a lot of you, there's a big percentage of unsubscribed listeners every week. If you could just click that subscribe button, it'd be much appreciated. It gets to that magic 1,000 mark. when we do it the 1,000 Magic Mark, there'll be our third giveaway via Shirt Loot Box. We've already give 2 shirts away, so get involved in that. Win yourself a nice free shirt. If you've got any suggestions, anything you'd like adding into the pod, or anything you think that would be interesting or helpful for us to cover, if you want to drop a comment below on the YouTube video, just drop me a DM at Dream Team Tonic on Twitter. We're open to suggestions. We want to shape the pod to everyone's taste. So, anything else to add, chaps?
Just one thing. I put out. We mentioned it last week. I asked people to contribute to any Dream Team Android app, iOS, Apple, and desktop improvements or bug fixes they would like to see. I've only had a couple of responses, so thanks to those guys. I will be sending it soon, so I'll give it another week. But if anyone's got any bugbears or anything they want to get fixed, or any improvements they'd like to see, please do get in contact with me, and I'll add that to my list.
Yeah, that bloody Groupon ad.
Oh,
Honestly,
that's ridiculous.
Someone come out singing opera. I were on earlys last week, and it's 5:30 in the morning. Sat up in bed, like trying to gather my thoughts. Anyway, I thought I'd just check my teams. Clicked it on, walked the house up. Some opera guy singing some crap. It's just every time you click on a league or whatever. That's my big. It's doing me head in. That is. Yeah, they can get rid of that. I mean, you understand, don't you? I think we touched on it. They need to, obviously, if they're going to monetize it, they need to earn a bit of money from somewhere, from advertising and other stuff. But it's pissing aggressive, that is.
Well, it's too aggressive, and showing the same ad every time is just going to annoy people and put them off.
It is. It's exactly the same one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Good work, James. Cheers for coming on, Fergie. We appreciate it every month.
No worries at all. Thank you for having me on. I suppose only advice next month is don't go spunking all your November transfers for the international break.
Definitely.
Idle onto all of them if you can, because there's a long period now between November and New Year's. A lot of football to be played, and every transfer is going to be so precious.
Yeah,
but thank you guys for having me on as usual. Really, really enjoyed it. Really good crack.
No, cheers, pal.
Cheers, mate. It's been good to have you as always.
Cheers, buddy.
Yep, cheers, guys. See you later.